All right, so we're moving along here in section 9-4. One of the big things here is we're still going to be doing a lot of the simplifying that we did in the previous couple of days here, but with our new stuff, we're going to be multiplying and dividing rational expressions, so multiplying and dividing fractions. All right, so the first thing I want to go over with multiplying and dividing fractions, we're going to keep it pretty simple today. Multiplying fractions is definitely your easiest operation with fractions. All right, let's just say, you get like 2/3 times 4/5. All right, these are as easy as they come. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 5 is 15. You have 8/15 and you're done. It's a lot better than adding and subtracting fractions where you need a common denominator and all that. Multiplying fractions is definitely your easiest operation to do with fractions. You start to move into stuff like this. You get 15/30ths, which reduces down to 1/2. All right, but starting to think about some things here. As far as multiplying fractions, you can rearrange this really any way you want. So with this 3/5 times 5/6, if I wanted to think of this as, let me just rewrite that quick. 5/6. I could just write this as one fraction as 5 times 3 divided by 5 times 6. Okay. If I still multiply this out, 5 times 3 is still 15. Order doesn't matter here in multiplication. 5 times 6, I'm still getting 30. I'm still getting 1/2 there. But trying to keep going with our theme here, with simplifying fractions, I have 5 divided by 5 is 1. If you want to put that there, go ahead. You got 1 times 1, or 1 divided by 1. 3/6 reduces down to 1/2. So I got 1 times 1 in the numerator, 1 times 2 in the denominator, and I have 1/2. Either way, I'm getting 1/2. It doesn't matter. I know I'm doing a lot of work here just to do 3/5 times 5/6. Some of you might be thinking, hey, I could just throw in my calculator. But I'm trying to show you what we can do moving forward when we have x's and y's and x squareds and x's and all that kind of stuff. Trying to make things a little bit easier there. All right, when it comes to dividing fractions, we really don't divide them. Whoops. Dividing fractions. When it comes to dividing fractions, like, let's say we got 4/5 divided by 2/3. All right, you change this to multiplication. Your first fraction stays the same. We don't change that 4/5. We multiply by the second fraction. Okay, so we turn it into a multiplication problem. So 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 2 is 10. Reduce that down to 6/5. And just leave it as 6/5. Don't write it as like 1 1/5, and certainly don't say it's 1.2. Okay, so when it comes to dividing fractions, you just change it to multiplication. You multiply by the second fraction, the reciprocal of the second fraction. Do not change your first fraction. All right, again, another dividing fractions problem. So again, you leave it as 5/8 and change this to 7/2. So you're going to get 35/16. Okay, so that's how you handle those. So I'm just going to go over a few problems where we have some variables here and simplifying those. I'm going to leave you with a couple practice problems for today then. So we're going to start to look at stuff like this. Let's say we got like 8x cubed divided by 4x squared. So in this problem, we're going to be dividing by 4. Remember, x cubed is x times x times x. X squared is x times x. So we simplify this. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And you're taking out x for x, x for x. So you're left with just a 2x there. Okay. Moving on to some other problems here. On something like this, multiplication is your friend here. So really this is just one big fraction. All right, so I think it's sometimes a little bit easier to start to think of this as if we do 7 times 2, we get 14. Put your x's first and then your y's. Here we have 4 times 3 is 12. I'm going to put that x first and the y second. So when we go to start simplifying this, 14 twelfths, we can reduce that down to 7/6. We have 4 x's in the numerator, 2 in the denominator, so 4 minus 2 is 2, so we got 7x squared. The y's, with y squared divided by y to the third, you got y times y in the numerator, and then you got 3 y's in the denominator. So you can take all those out, and you're left with 1 in the denominator. All right, so I'm going to leave you with a couple practice problems today, where you're just simplifying some fractions, doing some multiplying. Nothing too crazy. Tomorrow we'll start to get into more, stuff with variables and whatnot. All right. So the problems, I can put this as an Ed puzzle. We'll be watching this on Ed puzzle, obviously. And the problems I'm going to have you practice then. I'm not going to check them. I'm just going to put the answers behind them, but certainly practice them, okay? So have a good day, and, as always, email me if you have any questions.